What's going on, Amazon sellers, and welcome back to the weekly live Q&A and news show built just for you. I'm Chris Grant, along with my Stiatopigis co-host, Chris Rasick. Chris, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good. That's a collection of syllables that are so unique. I have no idea what that one means.
This one's interesting. Okay, it is. I don't know. You might like it, you might not. But are you familiar with the term that the kids use nowadays, gyat?
Yeah, GYAT, right?
I believe it's two T's, but yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
This is the Latin version of that.
All right. See, I need to go back. I'll have to go back to the Urban Dictionary. That I've heard the word, but I have trouble. Like, there's this middle school teacher that does reels. They're probably TikToks, but I don't watch them until they get to Facebook because I'm an adult. And he actually does these little reels where he explains what he heard in the classroom this week. So I know so many of the words that she's using. I mean, I forget them too, because it's not like we fire up the podcast and I start talking about Riz and, all that sort of stuff. But so I have a much stronger baseline than I ever would have expected watching this guy. So
yeah, it is certainly helpful. It's also helpful talking to Wyatt and keeping up with all of that stuff. Speaking of which, I got an interesting story. He came home the other day and he said that they had, it wasn't just a regular fire drill, but it was like I don't know. It was like they were asking questions. It was kind of like a fire safety live quiz sort of thing. And he was asked like, and he's like, Dad, I failed. And I was like, how do you fail? How do you fail that? And he's like, well, they asked me, what steps would I take if there was an explosion? And I said, really freaking big ones.
Exactly. Oh man, we got an email. My wife and I had a serious discussion because the little one, Piper, the 6-year-old, we got an email and there was some confusion about this opt-out form, which we didn't see because she doesn't show us anything. She said there was some sort of process if you wanted to opt out of the child abuse seminar, or whatever they called it, like assembly. And so we had to sit there and decide, because now for the audience, my 6-year-old, she's the youngest, and she is a demon. She has if she wasn't so cute, the evil streak in her, it would get the better of us. So we really don't know what to do. Like, we don't want to go on the list of the parents that opted their child out for the child abuse, get together. However, we're at the mercy of our 6-year-old walking in there, raising her hand and going, "Oh, my daddy beats me, he beats me up every night." So I don't know. It's scary. I don't know what she's going to say. So
she says figuratively, really quietly, he beats me up every night, figuratively.
That's what I call tickle, but don't worry about details, schmetels.
Right. Luke, what's going on? Joe Mazan, how's it going, man? Lynn, Deborah, Deal Hunter. Hey, Corey, what's going on? Jeanette, glad to see all of you guys here. Let's dive in. Before we dive in, I've got a bit of an ad spot this week. January 23rd, I'm going to be running what I believe is going to be the biggest webinar I do this year. I'm calling it the Infinite Lead System. And in this webinar, I'm going to show one single method that I think anybody can use to have an endless supply of leads. And that is not hyperbole. I am not bloviating. I truly think this is one method everybody can use and will never run out of leads to look at. I think it'll cure sourcing block. It'll help you rabbit trail, it'll help you rabbit trail for days, even weeks. And using it properly, you can use it to focus just on the very best ASINs that fit your particular business. Now, there's going to be a replay, of course, but we're going to cut out a part of the replay that is kind of like the most important part. So you're going to want to show up live to make sure that people can do this. I'm not running just one session. I'm actually going to run 2 sessions on January 23rd, one at 2 p.m. Eastern and one at 7 p.m. Eastern, to try to give everybody an opportunity to hop in. I think we're limited to 500 spots per. And I'll be completely honest, I've sent this out and will send it out a few more times to my email list, which is it's growing. So if you're interested, head over to cleartheshelf.com/webinar, and you can get signed up for that webinar. It's absolutely free, not going to cost you anything. And it's January 27th, either at 2 p.m. or 7 p.m., whichever one you can make it. And I promise it will be good. It'll be a good time. All right. We've got, it was a little slower on the news this week, but I've got a couple of things. This first one, I imagine that this change, it came after a statement was said in an Amazon warehouse, something like, hey, is this finger yours? Effective April 14th of 2025, Amazon is no longer going to be offering prep services for Sharp products, and their packaging requirements are being updated so that they can ensure the safety of their associates and customers. So starting April 14th, you're going to be required to own the end-to-end packaging of all Sharp products before they're sent in to Amazon. To meet the updated packaging requirements and make sure that no sharp edges or points are exposed during handling, all Sharp products must be in secure, cut, and puncture-resistant packaging. So it's got to be in something like hardened plastic or a blister pack. You're not going to be able to just wrap it in bubble wrap anymore and send it in. Now, you can go look up packaging Sharp units inside of Seller Central, and all of this information will be there. And of course, they want to give us time to adjust to this, is what they're saying. So anything that arrives before April 14th will still be accepted as long as the sharp edges are boxed or bubble wrapped to meet their current minimum packaging requirements. If they don't, they're going to be disposed of. They're going to throw them right in the trash. After April 14th, any products will be immediately disposed as well and will not be eligible for reimbursement. My guess is eventually it'll show up as a ding on your somewhere, in your account. But yeah, I would love to know, just because I'm curious, what the heck would have caused this change.
I'm making a prediction that so this takes effect April 14th, and if it's not prepped correctly according to the guidelines, they're just going to throw it out, and then 30 days later, on May 14th, there's going to be an Amazon memo describing the process of throwing sharp objects, because the people who take the trash out are bleeding. So yeah. So right.
Someone lost a finger at Luke's day job yesterday. That's crazy.
Tell me you're not in the restaurant industry. I'll never go back to our local Red Robin after a finger was in a salad. No. All right, he's not in the restaurant business. Okay. All right. So what? Maybe this is a blind spot. They say they'll no longer offer prep services.
Correct.
Does Amazon have prep available to us?
Yes. Yeah, Amazon will. Yeah, you can request that Amazon preps your stuff. They'll put FNSKU labels on them. They'll polybag it. They'll throw bubble wrap on it. Yeah, they'll do all of that.
Oh, I did not know that. Probably
Yeah.
because I would never ever consider letting them do that.
It has been a very long time since I've allowed that. I would not allow that anymore. I know some people who like do wholesale and will send in things case packed, and they will do it. Especially if they're sending directly from a supplier. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Not for me.
Yeah. I'd love to hear the stories of how some of these expensive knives come in. Just in a poly bag.
Right.
Just poking through the corner of the poly bag, only in the poly bag by the handle of it.
And what I don't know. I would wonder what would make someone think that that's okay. Like, oh yeah, this thing, this this unsheathed knife in a poly bag, perfectly fine. But I would imagine it's happened.
You know what? Jump in some of the eBay Facebook groups and look at the pictures of people that receive their eBay items in pizza boxes and cereal boxes and stuff, and you'll come around to why a policy like this is needed.
My favorite was people who've had things shipped to them inside a clean diaper, just wrapped up in a diaper. That was my favorite.
Wait, are you getting all uppity about the dunnage I use? What's the problem here?
Right. There is red dye number 3 or red 3 or red number 3. I don't know exactly the right term, but red number 3 dye is used in over 9,000 food products. And I'm probably using that term food products a little loosely because it includes things like Pez, maraschino cherries, and candy corn. And all these things are things you might sell on Amazon, of course. But as of today, red number 3 dye has been banned by the FDA. They say there's evidence it may cause behavioral problem in children. It may be linked to cancers. Studies have shown that male lab rats have grown tumors after being dosed with high levels of the stuff. Now, I am a little leery of those kind of studies because a lot of those studies they're putting in like 10,000 milligrams to this 6-ounce mouse, and so I'm a little leery. But it happened today. They don't seem too hell bent on getting it implemented very quickly. Food manufacturers have until 2027 to make the changes to their products, and vitamin and supplement makers have until 2028 to make changes. So it doesn't seem like it was something that anybody thought it needed to be banned immediately. However, this could impact us as Amazon sellers. I have no idea how Amazon reacts to this news once they learn about it. Do they wait until the deadline to start worrying about any old stock that may be on Amazon? Do they start removing the 9,000 plus products from the platform in the coming weeks to get well ahead of the curve? Do they require some sort of documentation from sellers like they have with CPC documents in the past? I have no idea. So if you sell in the grocery category or supplements and vitamins, you're going to want to keep an eye out. Make sure you know whatever Amazon tells us we're going to have to do to stay within Amazon terms of service. So, but again, I mean, who knows? Who knows which way the pendulum swings on this kind of news?
Right. Now, you said you use the word when Amazon lets us know, which might be aggressive. I don't know if we can assume that they will let us know. Now, if there's imminent liability, of course, I'm sure they'll bring down policy. So, but whenever that happens, for arbitrage sellers, the important thing to do would be to watch out for clearance. If the company, if you find some product that is making a late switch compared to Amazon's deadline, if they come out with one on when this stuff has to be removed from their catalog, You want to make sure you don't have a shipment of some clearance stuff and you're not aware of the policy, and you send some stuff in, could get you in a little bit of trouble, or at least have inventory disposed of, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Joe Mazan, Joe, I did not take you for a candy corn apologist. And it's all right. I'm gonna let that one slide.
I don't know, maybe we just made our point on candy corn and we're just preaching to the choir, and he's like, I don't want this precious hour of Amazon news to be filled with candy corn slander.
I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. Now, guys, remember, we are going to take your guys' questions here in just a minute. So if you have questions, you need help with something on Amazon, make sure to start dropping them in the chat, and we'll get to them here in just a moment. Last piece of news for today: Amazon is stitching up try before you buy. Really bad take and a pun there, but I tried. Amazon is ending its try before you buy service this month after a nearly 8-year run. Amazon confirmed they're phasing out try before you buy on January 31st. Amazon said the move is in response to the increasing customer use of AI-powered features like virtual try-on and personalized size recommendation that help get customers the right fit. I'm not sure how well those are working because I have not seen any movement on the return rates. And that I don't sell a lot of shoes and clothing, but that's just coming straight from Amazon's data right inside of Seller Central. But Amazon's try before you buy service gave members a 7-day kind of hands-on trial for certain men's, women's, kids, and baby clothes, shoes, and accessories. But that will be no more. However, there's a word of caution on this. I think this is good news. This is one way for maybe Amazon to try to maybe put a dam in the way of the onslaught of returns. However, this is not going to keep people from bracketing. And if you're not sure what bracketing is, that's where they buy different variations of a product to try on or see what they like and then return the items they don't want. It's also not going to keep people from wardrobing products, which is where they're essentially renting it from you, buying the item to maybe wear to a function, and then returning it, or any of the other practices that consumers have these days when it comes to their returns. But I do think it may be one step in the right direction. I know that a bunch of retailers are working on trying to curb the number of returns because they seem to be getting out of hand. And so maybe Amazon is gradually going down that path.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the returns angle. This has nothing to do with AI or any kind of assistance. I mean, Amazon, as far as I'm concerned, Amazon needed a positive spin to take away a benefit from their customers, which is rare. And that's what is newsworthy, is that this is a benefit. This is something that was pro customer, because obviously, like when this came up in the FBA Today Facebook group, there were a lot of people that said, oh, that, people who had kids, they weren't happy that it was going away, because the try before you buy was useful, and of course it is, because it's another way to coax people, brick and mortar shoppers, onto online. What's one of the complaints about buying clothes and shoes online? You can't try them on before you buy them. So that this directly addressed that. So it was coaxing more customers to feel safe buying online and shopping online. So it's significant that Amazon has taken that away. But as far as I'm concerned, this is 100% a returns play. But the fact that they are taking action for the customer facing aspect of it, number one, is that not only is that newsworthy, that they actually did something like that, but two, I think it's an indication of just how bad returns are eaten at the bottom line. And I know in that FBA Today group, there was one person that was like, just so anti-Amazon, and you know, so he had Amazon stealing from us, paying their return shipping, you know, and it sounded like he even thought like the 39% of products that are sold by Amazon themselves, somehow we pay for their returns, which I self-restraint. I controlled myself. I didn't get into it, but you know, let's not, again, we're getting into the apologist part of it, but let's not pretend that Amazon doesn't have massive expenses when it comes to shipping, you know, all the way around. You know, like, it's a $1 trillion company. Think about the internal. Think about all those FC transfers. Who pays for that? You know, it's, I mean, maybe it's eventually billed, you know, maybe they kind of make it a factor of what they charge third-party sellers, but there is a cost involved. You know, I'm sure nobody likes it. You know, Amazon probably wishes that, you know, you could ship individual units to 75 different places. So that's where they need to go. But that's not realistic, you know. And then Amazon, you know, think about everything that Amazon's on that's returnable. You know, they're eating their expense there too. So it hurts them as well. So, yeah, this is 100% on returns, but I think it's great.
Yep.
Because I think we're at the point of ubiquity with Amazon that I don't think it's going to hurt Prime membership. Which, speaking of Prime membership, did you see the article on how many people pay monthly for their Prime memberships?
No, I did not see that.
Most. It's over 50%. It's like 58% of Prime members pay monthly.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was shocked.
That seems high.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably double what I would have guessed. But yeah. So this is an indication of how very real. So, you know, as much as we hate returns and we, you know, we'll bitch and moan, rightfully so. I mean, they suck. Nobody likes them. But don't be so self-absorbed that you think that we're the only one incurring the cost of returns. I mean, it's widespread. Anyone that has an online shopping presence, marketplace.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Returns are the worst. I got some returns with baby spit up on them. You know, that's gross. And you know, not something people should be doing, but yeah, I can only imagine the numbers. I'd love to actually see the numbers. I wish Amazon would put those in a line item, and maybe they're out there somewhere, but I'm not going to go read their annual report.
They're not.
To try to find those.
They're not
figures.
Actually. I fed all the information I could into Perplexity when this came up, because I was looking. I wanted the number of what it costs Amazon.
Interesting.
And they don't separate it. It's just a general expense, unfortunately. But
yeah, that figures.
But you know what? Another point about this is them actively taking action on returns is hopefully this becomes a precedent. You know, hopefully if you know, other stores see, like, well, okay, Amazon's doing it and they're about as customer friendly as it gets. So if they think it's okay, we think it's okay too. You know, so maybe this starts a wave of retailers curbing the return issue.
Yeah, the sort of so Amazon goes, so goes e-commerce. That would not be a bad thing, because I saw what Walmart did to try to help returns, and it was not seller friendly. It was increasing the return shipping cost on the seller to try to take care of some of the returns. And speaking of Walmart, did you happen to see like their big, huge announcement that came out this week?
I don't think so.
They've updated their logo for the first time in 17 years. Yeah. There's no difference. I mean, a little bit of color change. They made it like a millimeter wider on the whatever the star thing is. Man, I really hope that an intern took care of that and they didn't pay some outside consulting company. McKinsey probably charged them like $350,000 for that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know,
absolutely. And there's probably a 100-page report on why this is so much better. It was almost like the optometrist, you know, where it's like A or B, like the really tough ones, where it's like,
mm-hmm.
all right, show me A again, you know, and it's like A or B. It's the same picture, like the Pam meme.
Yeah, so bad. All right, let's answer some questions. So we've got some, hopefully Salu hears this. I know he left us at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But hey guys, let's say an item is sold on 2 listings. One is 1 unit and one is a pack. Both FBA, so they're both in a fulfillment center at Amazon. Is it possible to switch inventory between the 2 listings? So I have heard anecdotal stories that say that, oh yeah, I've had ASIN switched over to a different ASIN in an Amazon warehouse, but by and large the answer is no. I have asked myself and I've always been told no. And the other thing is I'm not sure that I would trust Amazon to do this right. So unfortunately, you're probably going to need to pay the fee to have it recalled and then send it back in under the right ASIN.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice though? You know,
It would be, yeah, especially when you get something stranded and because a listing goes down and you'd love to just switch it over to another ASIN. Oh man, that'd be so nice.
or they merge, you know, make one big list or one listing with a bunch of variations that were orphaned
Yeah,
before.
absolutely. Salu has another question here. When listed as FBA, how can it be written on the buy box? Usually ships within 1 to 2 months. Should I win the buy box if I list myself as FBA? So I'm not 100% sure I understand your question here. But I'm going to take a stab at it based on what I know of the Amazon marketplace. My guess is you're listing on a listing that has another seller that may be dominating the buy box, and theirs says may ship within 1 to 2 months. You might see this with the Amazon Global UK store. That's how I always see it anyway. And in those cases, that's one of those, it's Amazon sandbox and they don't really play fair. So if you're listed higher, they're probably going to beat you. Is there a way to get the buy box listing against those? My guess is you're going to have to match their price or be cheaper, which in most cases, I see them hop on listings where the prices are significantly higher than MSRP by US sellers. So that's what I'm guessing you're going for, and hopefully that answers your question. Now, here we go. Deal Hunter. I'm in the process of ungating. How can we delete the declined applications in Seller Central? I'm not sure that there is a way to delete them. You can request that they are closed, but the way that you do that is you actually write on like a PDF, please close this application, and you send that in rather than, you know, an invoice or a receipt or something like that. That's the only way that I know to get those closed. Am I missing something there?
There isn't an option to go in and close it manually when you
Not
look
that
at your
I'm
cases.
aware of. And I could be missing
I
something.
thought
I
there
won't
was.
I won't put that past me.
I don't ever do it, but I just like remembering conversations of just the context of conversations that I've read or heard. Because I know there is advice out there that people are like, okay, if you're gonna apply, make sure you close any existing applications, which they may be talking about the PDF method. But
It could be. Could be. I am
it
not
takes me about 10
sure.
minutes to remember where I can look at my cases in the first
Yeah,
place. So
that is that's the hard part. There it is. Yeah, all I see on the selling application for this one that's not approved for me is either a saved draft or a submit. There is no like delete
Hmm.
this or anything like that.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've had one denied. I'm not bragging, I promise. Uh yeah, right. Okay. Oh, Corey, cheers to the fellow RAers in here and those clearance cycle sales. Just spent 2,500 in Legos on a grocery trip. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that, man. Through the pandemic, my wife was shocked. I volunteered because that's right when I got into selling big time. My wife was so happy when I would volunteer to go to Walmart to get the groceries all the time because I'd go and spend a whole bunch of money on inventory.
Right? Jamie, hey, it's been a while since I caught a live. I'm looking forward to the OA challenge. Will there be replays? Yes, absolutely. There's always replays. We'll have them in multiple places for those of you who join the OA challenge. It'll be in a Facebook group, it'll be inside our school group in a locked area. And we also upload them to a website that you'll be able to log into. So there is a plethora of ways to be able to watch them. Malik, any prep centers you recommend? I've only got prep centers on the West Coast that I can say, hey, these guys do a great job. It's going to be Network Prep and Proven Prep. Those guys have always made me look good when people sign up for them. I don't have any other recommendations at the moment that I can give you. I don't have any on the East Coast that I have that I can recommend personally, but I do have a blog post. If you go to cleartheshelf.com and you go to the search bar up on the top right and type in Prep Center, there is a list of hundreds of prep centers that you can reach out to. I have been getting a significant higher number of requests to get my prep center pricing from that blog post lately. Um, and I don't understand how people think I run a prep center when they read that. Deal Hunter, what if a customer orders 3 items on eBay? Should I update the weight and dimensions of the shipping? I didn't do it so far and worked just fine so far at UPS. I would update the weight and the dimension if you're going to ship it all together in one package, because you do want to pay the right fee, because they can come back and get you for that. So if you just shipped it out, this past week, or you shipped it out 2 weeks ago, they may not have gotten around to it yet, but it's very likely that they will end up charging you for that at some point. Giovanni, what software do you use to communicate with your VAs? Slack? No, I don't like Slack. So you guys are gonna laugh at me. I've got them in a Facebook Messenger chat. And that's where we keep things for the most part. You can also use Discord if you want to. And we put looms, and there's pinned messages and all kinds of things. But you could use something else like Discord. You could use Slack. But we started off years ago with Facebook Messenger, and it's worked. So we just keep that.
Yeah, and we use WhatsApp as our primary communication channel.
Oh, nice.
So, but yeah, like the Facebook Messenger, it's it's weird when you're like, because like my Facebook profile, like I keep that just personal, right? Because I like my Instagram has Amazon stuff. My Twitter is almost 100% business related stuff. So I feel like I need one place where I can be stupid, or have a incendiary opinion on something and share it somewhere, so that people I went to high school with 25 years ago can ignore it. But it makes me feel better. So whatever. So it's weird when I'm just like, so Facebook is, I'll just post something but then I'll see one of my VAs, because we have to be friends to be in the messenger chat, and like they'll like something. And it's like, oh shit. like I didn't have a filter on when I said that. Oh my God.
Let's see here. David, is there a free website monitor that checks more frequently than daily? There is. Visual Ping will check more frequently than daily, even under their free plan. However, you get a limited number of credits. I think they'll check every couple of hours, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I said Visual Ping, right? Yeah, Visual Ping.
Mm-hmm. Man, David, what you got going on that you need more than once a day?
Right. Someone over on Instagram has asked, what is the best coin to invest in? I cannot say. I am not into crypto. So cannot help you there. Sorry. Deborah, why would an item not have a BSR bestseller rank, but notes that it sells 50 plus times per month? If the graphs and numbers look good, would you sell with no BSR? So there are a lot of reasons that a product may not have a sales rank. It could be that it was put into the wrong category, or the category got disconnected somehow. It could just be a glitch on Amazon's side. There are a ton of reasons, and we don't really know why it happens. However, no sales rank doesn't mean it does not sell. If Amazon says 50 plus, we have to remember that that is a trailing indicator, not a leading indicator. So it's probably been selling. If the number of sellers is moving up and down on it, if the number of reviews and ratings is going up and to the right, chances are it'll be just fine to sell. Matter of fact, there's one particular brand that seems to have more than its fair share of items without a sales rank. And those are some of my favorite things to sell, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Give me an item that's showing 50 plus or 100 plus with no rank. And I just saw one the other day, and I pushed the ceiling of maximum units that I purchase, because I love that scenario. Because I know, because it doesn't have a rank, so many sellers are going to just scroll past it. They're not going to want to buy it. So immediately you've got an advantage, because you've fractured your competition simply by the fact it doesn't have a rank. So I'm in. I love that scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go out and look at Keepa too, there are millions of opportunities with no sales rank that absolutely are selling. Big opportunities out there. I wonder, I'd have to, well, there's probably not really a way to know this, but I wonder if there are any people out there who source primarily products without sales ranks. If so, I'd love to chat with that person.
Yeah.
Karen, please drop the link to your webinar. I did just drop a link, but it is cleartheshelf.com/webinar. Try to make it as easy as possible. Jorge, what's the deal with hazmat? I bought some items to send into FBA. Should I stay away from hazmat as a beginner? So, Jorge, I would imagine that you may not be approved for dangerous goods to send them into Amazon fulfillment centers quite yet. It is a fairly easy process to apply. You just need to go and look up hazmat in Seller Central, and it's a very simple application. It just says, hey, do you want to sell hazmat? And you say, yeah. And they're like, awesome. We'll get back to you. Kind of how it goes. And then you just wait. Now, should you stay away from hazmat as a beginner? It depends what you're comfortable with. If you want to merchant fulfill hazmat yourself, that's okay, but you need to know how to do it right. And you need to get it right 100% of the time, because if you get it wrong, it can be up to a $10,000 fine. Now, chances are that most of the products that you're going to sell are going to fit into the limited quantity category, which just means that you're going to need to ship it ground. You're going to need to put the diamond label on it, and you're going to need to put a this side up label on it. And that's going to be most of what you will sell. Don't try going to the UPS store or the post office and having them try to educate you, because most of them don't know. You're going to need to do the research on the internet and figure out how to do it properly. There are a lot of places you can go get that information, like Pirate Ship, Ship Bob, UPS's website, and you can learn how to do it. It would I say that it would be easier to stay away from those products, but there is a fair amount of opportunity there. So I don't want to just say, no, you should pass on those.
Yeah. I am, if you're approved for hazmat, I am big time pro hazmat.
Absolutely.
Because again, same scenario as no sales rank, because it's hazmat, you've now decimated your competition, because not everybody's approved and not everybody's going to want to take on additional costs that may be associated with shipping to a hazmat specific fulfillment center. And did anybody else read his first sentence in a Seinfeld voice in their head? Like, so what's the deal with hazmat?
If anybody at Amazon's listening, you want to go into my account and double that hazmat storage, particularly for flammable, I'll take it. I've got some stuff to send your way.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Jorge. If you are approved hazmat, push that inventory towards your inventory limit and keep it there as long as possible.
Yeah. Syed, if we found a supplier who has not filed their annual tax from the past 2 years, their company is inactive, but they're running store and shipping products, can we source from these suppliers? You did a deep dive into your supplier. It is possible that they may have changed their corporate structure, and I don't know how you checked their annual tax forms. That's supposed to be private data between you and the IRS. But I know that their company information and stuff like that is all online with the Secretary of State. They might have just changed LLCs and let the other one go. So I can't say for sure. That's probably a conversation you want to have with the person you're buying from. But if your gut feel, if your gut instinct is something doesn't seem right here, there's always another supplier.
Yeah. And yeah, we got this question Monday night, and I couldn't come up with a good answer. Besides the similar, like, wow, you're really digging into this. Syed, if this is based on at least partially like a lack of familiarity with some of these stores, because I think he's not in the US, but he's trying to source for Amazon.com. So you need to start with finding out whether it's a public company or a private company. Because if I believe if it's a private company, they're under no obligation to post financials, correct?
I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think it's once you're a public corporation, then you're under the obligation to post the financials and have board meetings and minutes for those meetings and stuff like that. So you want to start there on whether it's a requirement for that information to need to be available in the first place, if you're talking about financials.
Mm-hmm. Jerry, came across a storefront that is selling nothing but generic. Storefront is 4 years old. What are your thoughts on this? By the way, they're the only seller on all 700 plus listings. They are obviously doing something that they are not supposed to be doing, and they probably know it. How they're getting away with it at this kind of scale, I can't say. My only thought is that they may, because there was this loophole, and I don't know if this loophole still exists, but when they started doing that, what is it? Was a 5885 error or whatever it was when you tried to list on a generic listing? Was
Mm-hmm.
some numbered error, but uh, what I was seeing is that if people had been on the listing before that happened, before that error came out, they could replenish their inventory, but new sellers could not hop on those listings. So is it possible that someone hopped on a bunch of generic listings before they could not, get on them again, and they just make sure that they replenish all those listings? That is a possibility. And if they had the foresight to be like, oh, I'm just never going to run out of stock, and eventually everyone else is going to fall off these listings and I'll own them, I'm not sure whether I'm disappointed in them or if that was a stroke of genius. But I would imagine that eventually they get themselves in some sort of trouble with Amazon.
I wonder how much volume you need to do to actually have an audience with someone at Amazon. Like not to put the tinfoil hat on, but like, and we don't know how many of those 700 listings, but if a lot of them are flying, is there a revenue number that gets high enough to where Amazon will bump you to the back of the list? They'll get to you when they get to you, as far as shutting you down for not following terms.
That's a good question. That's a great question, because I mean, we've seen $100 million sellers get suspended. So like, what is that magic number? If 100 million is nothing to Amazon, well, what if I get to 500 million? Do I get an annual lunch with Andy Jassy, at 500 million?
Get a slice of one of those two pizzas.
Right. Big T, before I forget, the Festivus stream was incredible. It was great to hear you guys roasting Amazon. I think we should all resolve to do that a bit more, or else they might think they're doing a good job. I'm sure we'll find some opportunities to roast Amazon here.
Yeah, jump on Twitter. I don't think there's any shortage of roasting of Amazon.
I would agree with that.
At least in the circles that I'm following.
Dwight, what's the best spreadsheet to store leads and purchase lists? I'm a fan of Google Sheets, Excel, whatever. Pick your poison. They're all going to do the trick. I'm not so great with spreadsheets. I would actually say I'm like beginner level, so I just use Google Sheets and I'm happy with it. Jamie, is there a way to set up multiple ship from options in your seller account? My new prep center wants me to list them as a ship from address, but I still ship from my address too. Yeah, there's a way to do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have 5. I think I have 5 different ones from different prep centers. My prep center moved to a different location. I have my home. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, couple of Instagram questions here. First one is, my seller account is through my personal name. Can it be changed without a problem to an LLC? The short answer is yes. The longer answer is you're going to want to like open up a case and let Amazon know you're doing it. Hey, I'm gonna change over to an LLC. I'm gonna change my bank account information. I'm gonna change all these things. Give them a heads up and then go ahead and do it. Not a problem. And the next question from Nasir is, how can we store our store's receipts? So Nasir, I'm not sure if you're doing retail arbitrage or if you're doing online arbitrage, but if you're doing retail arbitrage, I like to use I always forget the brand name of it, but I use a receipt scanner. All the receipts get scanned in to Google Drive. If you're doing online arbitrage, we've got a receipts folder in our email account. And then under that receipts folder, there are dozens of subfolders for each and every retailer that we've ever purchased from, and those go right in the folders. But I see you say retail arbitrage. Get yourself a receipt scanner. I like the, not sure. Oh, here it is. I have a, I believe this is a Fujitsu Scan Snap. It's the IX100. It's going to cost you a little bit of money. I think they're like $200 now. But this one's this one's broken. This one's portable. It connects to my phone. Connects to the computer. It's battery operated. You pop it open. You scan receipts. It'll take it up to like 30 feet or something. And you've got everything at your fingertips.
So even CVS is covered. That's impressive.
Right. Let's see here. Paulie, when I first started, I would make money on high BSR items and lost that along the way. Been back on. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with a higher BSR item. And one of the things that people, I think, don't think about is when they're on a low BSR, you get something that's ranked 1,000, 5,000, whatever. Then the conversation turns to, well, how much competition is too much competition? But in the other direction, you get on something that's ranked 750,000, 800,000, but you see some pretty, even drops in the sales rank. Maybe it's going from 750 to 850, every 2 or 3 days and then dropping back down. There are sales happening, and there's 2 other sellers, one FBA, one FBM. You throw a little FBA on there too, and you're going to make some sales. They're not going to be anything to write home about, but if you can make $50 a month, why wouldn't you build a catalog of 500 of those? It'd be a pretty easy way to build a pretty nice business. Let's see here. Ab, at what point does one drop subscriptions to leads lists? I still have subscriptions to leads lists, and I've been doing this for 10 years. It depends, and I've got a team members sourcing for me too. So it really just depends, like, are you using lead lists properly? If so, then they're always going to be a positive ROI for you. I mean, unless the lead list is just really bad. I've seen some really bad ones. But I think lead lists are helpful even for someone who's been around for a very long time.
Yeah, if you're one of my subscribers, the answer is never, ever. But yeah, I mean, the quick answer is, you need to determine the value that you're getting from it, right? I mean, the nice thing is there's actual returns, like this is actual financial data. If you're buying the leads or if you're rabbit trailing off of it, you can isolate the products in your inventory that you received as a result of either directly or indirectly via rabbit trails, that you only bought because of the lead list. So you can actually assess a dollar figure. You can determine the value that you're getting from it. So, that's the basic answer, but yeah, I'm with Chris. I run a small one, and yet I still subscribe to a bunch of other ones too. So,
Tony, got a hazmat compliance request for a single fragrance refill unit. I think I should probably just delete it and move on. That's probably what I would do. If it's just a single unit, if you have time before the compliance request is due, I might try to sell out of it and then delete it. But if it's due now and it's stranded or whatever, I would delete it and move on. And what he means by that compliance request is they're very likely asking for, I believe it's called an SDS, a safety data sheet. on that. So it's not something like, he's going to get his account suspended because he's got to show authenticity or something like that. Rizwan, what should be the strategy if we have a brick and mortar store in the US? Like if we want to start wholesale on Amazon. So, I've heard some people who say, well, everyone's asking me if I have a brick and mortar store when I want to open up an account. And I think it can certainly help you get your foot in the door if you want to do wholesale. Like, oh, yeah, I've got a brick and mortar store. Absolutely. However, you're going to still need to have that conversation that, hey, I'm probably not really going to sell very much in my brick and mortar store. And most of this is going to be sold on Amazon or Walmart or wherever else online I'm going to sell because you want to be honest with your suppliers. Okay. You got a 500 square foot retail storefront and you're sending in $30,000-$40,000 a month POs to your supplier. They're going to start wondering what the heck is going on. So not a bad thing. Absolutely use it to your advantage, but don't lie and just say this is the only place we sell out of. Rosenbaum wants me to confirm closing of a listing, but I have units still being received. Will closing the listing now cause issues with those remaining units? Those remaining units will go stranded, is what will happen to them. Personally, I would reach out to Rosenbaum and I would say, hey, would you mind if I just sell through the rest of what I have being received? And as soon as that happens, I'll close out of it. His letters are one that I take a little bit more seriously just because I know that his letters have been used in the past to get people suspended. So I would tread a little bit more lightly with them, but talk to him. Rosenbaum knows the Amazon space very well since he handles both sides of the aisle, both sellers and brand owners and things like that. So they'll talk to you. The guys on the East Coast, they were part of the Miami show. If you're talking Prep Center TM, which I'm not sure, there's not a lot of context here. You're talking Prep Center, the Prep Boys. I know that they're closing up shop, I believe. I'm about 90% sure they're closing up shop. I know they were in Miami, and they're actually a Prep Center in Florida. I'm sure that there was another Prep Center owner there. I just didn't happen to talk to anybody else but the fellas at Prep Boys. Hey, Raspy, what's going on, sir? Chafara, hey, I'm a new FBM seller. I was curious to know, would it be best for me to match the FBM buy box price and offer free shipping? I would offer free shipping if you can. Okay. I would not offer free shipping for expedited. And then I'd be trying to match the buy box and see if you get sales there rather than matching the other FBM sellers. Because a lot of times FBM sellers will come in cheaper than FBA sellers, which if you're still profitable, fine. But I would try to get my price as high as possible and hopefully still make some sales. Now, and a lot of new people will be like, well, how am I going to make sales if I'm priced higher than other merchant fulfilled sellers? Well, that's where regional buy boxes come in. I have been priced well above other merchant fulfilled sellers, and then I will get sales from customers in Florida and Georgia and South Carolina, etc. And that's enough customers for me. I can still sell a decent amount that way. Is the Prep Center list on your website updated or recently updated? Yeah, we try to go in and update that once every month. Tony, nice to hear that Rasic is faithfully reading my Twitter. Got a sweet tweet headed your way, fellas. Looking forward to it, man.
I read it. I don't know what the hell you're talking about half the time, but I'm reading it.
RA receipts are a pain. Chris, you keep the physicals after you scan them in, or no? No. If you want to believe in it, I know some kids nowadays they won't touch receipts because thermal paper is supposed to, I don't know, drop your aura points or harsh your riz. I don't know. But the other thing about thermal paper is after I don't know, a year or so, you can't read anything on it anyway. And if you've ever accidentally left a receipt in your dashboard or something, it's nuked. So I throw them away. I just use the scan snap, and once it's in, it's gone. There's also a service. If someone wants to outsource this rather than handling it themselves, I did this for a while when I was doing a lot of RA. Is we used a service called Shoe Boxed, and they'll send you envelopes, and you can stuff your receipts in the envelopes and then send them to Shoeboxed, and they will scan them all in for you, and you can get them all online. It was a fantastic service. I don't think it's crazy expensive. You're looking at somewhere between $36 and $50 a month, depending on the number of receipts. That'd be 3,600 receipts per year at the $50 a month. So if you're going to go above that, you'd probably have to go to their enterprise pricing. But $50 a month, that's a fair amount of receipts getting scanned in for you.
That's an interesting business model,
right? And they've been around for years, so I don't. It must be a higher demand than I would have expected.
Yeah, I wonder if they adapted. I wonder if it was like a pitched as organization. Before we went paperless, if they were like, hey, let us handle it, let's organize it, and then as we went paperless, then it became, hey, get the stuff, scanned digitally, we'll do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I liked their service. Chafara, can I list if Amazon is on the listing but allowing a good share of the buy box? Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Amazon on a listing does not mean your items won't sell. And I'm not sure who you're learning from, Chafara, and hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. But don't use the buy box data as gospel. That data it can be directionally correct, but it is not very accurate. There are going to be listings where you'll see Amazon in stock 100% of the time, where Amazon shows the buy box 100% of the time, and you can still sell through on one of those listings because Keepa is not getting the buy box changes and stuff like that. Very super cool guy. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that from Orion? Isn't that from a movie? I think that's from a movie.
That or it's a Beastie Boy lyric or something.
Right? Help, my best listing was taken down because of GTIN ASIN mismatch. What does that mean? My guess is that someone probably, when they created that listing, used some sort of GTIN exemption or something. And Amazon knows that there should be some sort of GTIN, which is GTIN is basically a UPC in most cases. And so that's probably what the issue is. But without seeing all the information, I can't direct you the best, unfortunately. Hey guys, any advice on how to get 2D barcode from the manufacturer? Rodrigo, I'm going to guess that you mean a transparency 2D barcode. So we'll do a little history lesson here. Transparency codes are a 2D barcode that should be on the product that you purchase. Amazon introduced this program to try to help brands cut down on counterfeits in their supply chain and Amazon supply chain. If a brand opts in to 2D barcodes or transparency codes, technically they're supposed to put those on every single product in their supply chain. So if they sell at Walmart and Target and things like that and Amazon, it's supposed to be on all of the products. And so if you bought them from Walmart or Target, and they should have those on there. All right. Chances are, if what they're doing is just putting the 2D barcodes on the Amazon stuff and not putting it on the Walmart and Target stuff, and you buy it and it doesn't have it, they're probably not going to give it to you. And the reason is that's kind of their gray hat or black hat method of keeping third-party sellers off of their listing. So you're probably out of luck there. Syed, this deep dive is getting me away from opportunities, but how to vet suppliers. You said check government data company profile. When I do this, every supplier seems fishy. I've got many suppliers pending. Some have address differences. Some are not on map. So here's the thing. And I'm guessing you're looking at wholesale rather than retailers. If you're looking at retailers, I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't go down that rabbit hole too much. You're looking at suppliers. They can have different addresses, no problem. The address on my public facing LLC is not my home address. And heck, I don't even think you can find my name on my public facing LLC. I think I've got that hidden as well. So that kind of thing will happen. You might be, yes. Should you do some vetting? Should they have a website? Should they, have some sort of maybe a Google My Business profile? I'm not sure that you need to, pull up their Dun and Bradstreet score and their LLC information and all of that stuff.
Couple more weeks and Syed's going to be asking how to get a blood test.
Right. All right. I think we may have gotten through all the questions. Chris, as I was getting everything ready for today, and sorry, there's one more. Very super cool guy. At what point does sourcing online arbitrage get easy? It's still taking me too long. I think that the right answer here is it never gets easy. It's simple. Like, it's a simple process. I find a product on sale, or I manufacture a discount for a product. And if it's more expensive on Amazon and enough where there's a margin, then I buy it and I sell it. There's a little more, is it historically at this price? And, is there a bunch of, new competition that's coming in that, foreshadows a price erosion or things like that. So there's a little more to it, but essentially that's it. Buy low, sell high. That is simple, but the act of doing it is never easy. You're not just going to throw a dart and find products that are profitable. Like, it's a slog. It can take you, hours, and you may have days. Like, I'll be honest. I co-run a Q1 group, and part of that is answering questions and coaching. And the other part of it is offering some leads that people can look at and rabbit trail down. And sometimes you just have a bad day. Today, in my opinion, my leads were just so. They were not as good as I normally want to deliver. And that's just happens sometimes, sales cycles and discount codes and things like that are cycles. And so sourcing will cycle as well. So my opinion is it never gets easy, but it's always going to be a fairly simple process. And it just, you're just going to have to put in the time behind the keyboard, and, you'll get faster over time. And the boxes that you need to check will be easier for you to see and stuff like that, but give it some time.
Yeah. And if you're just, sounds like you're just getting started. Getting the reps in is key. Like, it sounds basic. It almost sounds cliche at this point, but That is key. That's what builds the efficiency, and you will get much more efficient at it. But early on, do yourself a favor and don't set targets as far as profitable products. You want to kind of like compartmentalize it, because here's one thing that never, at least for me, 5+ years in, I can't define the end, right? Like, and I really get myself in trouble. I frustrate myself because I'll try to map out sourcing sessions. Like, hey, I want to do this. I want to get to this. There's a sale over here. I need to check this. I need to rabbit trail this lead list, blah, blah, blah. And you'll just go down other rabbit holes that you hadn't anticipated. And next thing you know, you're 90 minutes in on the first method or the first task that you told yourself you're going to do. So now I'm frustrated because I had 5 different methods that I wanted to get through during this sourcing session, and I'm stuck in the one. And whether that's fruitful or not, that's sometimes it doesn't matter, because I've set an unreasonable to-do list. So, but when you're setting your sourcing sessions up and you say, okay, hey, I've got 2 hours to source, don't set it early on to, I need to find X number of profitable products. Set it towards just total number of ASINs, whether it's good or not. Or if you go in and you say, hey, I'm going to evaluate 50 or 100 different ASINs. That way you just get those reps in and you punch out after 100, however long that takes, and you'll notice that period of time gets shorter. It's an easier way to measure that way also. But don't judge yourself on whether you found a lot or nothing at all. Just get those reps in, but focus on the evaluation part rather than successful products. It'll be, you'll be happier in the long run.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. Fantastic advice. Let's see. I see it's drying up with retail arbitrage. Very exciting, since I'm learning so much watching everyone trying to source. I'm not sure that RA is drying up. I would actually go the other direction. I think there should be a retail arbitrage renaissance. There is just so much inventory out on shelves, and I don't know. I know way too many sellers doing retail arbitrage at scale right now, that I'm bullish on it.
Yeah, and it all depends on what stores you're looking at. I mean, I know there are, like this time of year, if you have Ollie's near you, I always remember this 2-week period. The first 2 weeks of the year usually sucks at Ollie's, because they've run so many sales, and then they double down, and then they'll run an extra 30% on toys and games and blah blah, and then they don't seem to get a lot of stuff quickly, so it does take a couple weeks for a store like that to restock. So
yeah,
but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a view. But I'm with Chris. I think RA has a very quiet, stellar year this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a sleeper. Deal Hunter, where to ungate Watts brand? I'm not sure. I've never heard of that brand, or I don't recognize that brand name off the top of my head, so I can't give you a source, unfortunately. And Jerry, speaking of RA, I spent 4 hours in a Kroger store and I found over $2,500 in profit scanning clearance toys and housewares. Kroger clearance. Unfortunately, we don't have Kroger here in Florida, not physical stores. But man, back in Ohio, I could hit some Kroger clearance at some of the what are they, Super Krogers or Kroger Marketplace or whatever. Those were awesome.
See, and there's $2,500 at Kroger, and then Corey had $2,500 at Walmart. So we got about $5,000 in RA. So looking pretty good from our end.
Yeah. Very super cool guy. I'll set a goal to stock 30 stores a day. That is a very ambitious goal. Very ambitious.
That's going to take you more than a day. Like, you find find somebody with a bunch of category. I mean, it just to get through a category, I mean, takes me one category from one seller takes me a good half hour.
Mm-hmm. Deborah, Chris, I'm going to guess this is for you, Chris. What was the name of the software you were using to source products on Monday on your live?
Oh, hey, Deborah, that was Storefront Stalker Pro. Do you have a link for that, Chris?
I don't have your affiliate link handy, unfortunately. I've only got,
that's all right.
Yeah. If you just go to storefrontstalkerpro.com, you can take it for a spin. Tiffany, is the OA challenge for new sellers also? Yep, absolutely. We've had new sellers come through, and we've had multi-million-dollar sellers come through. So actually, there is one multi-million-dollar seller I know of that sends his employees through it, which is it's very flattering. Bob just got hard gated in selling the brand Jergens after selling hundreds. The invoice I am submitting for approval, they keep denying. Are there any other options? No, unfortunately, probably not. I would probably just keep submitting. And sometimes, I mean, if you're not red restricted, where you can still apply, I would keep at it. And I don't know where your invoice is coming from, but maybe you also try an invoice directly from Amazon themselves. Those will work also. And I know that Amazon is on some Jergens listings. Might cost you a penny to be able to do that because they might require 50 or 100 units. But if it's something that is profitable enough for you, then it'll be worth it.
And one thing, Bob, if you have it, because I didn't hear anything about Jergens, and it may be just a weird glitch. We had, God knows, we had plenty of those Q4. But if you also have something in your account health that you're fighting, I have had that happen before, to where I'll get an issue on my account health, and somehow I drop below some sort of back end metric or measurement that Amazon has, and then I've lost brands because of that. So if you're fighting something, wait until you beat that and it gets cleared, and see if you're still dealing with it, if getting approved with Jergens gets a lot easier after that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. And with my latest inauthentic complaint this week, which I just cleared up today, finally.
Oh, good.
They restricted me on that particular ASIN. Now, this happens to be on a brand that we sell quite a bit of. So they didn't restrict the whole brand, but they did restrict that ASIN. I could not even apply to sell it until I got the inauthentic claim removed. And then even after that inauthentic claim was removed, I had to go in and request to get ungated on that ASIN today. So yeah, all kinds of weird stuff happens.
And that doesn't even work all the time either. Like I had that exact scenario play out, and I lost Neutrogena and never got it back. So it's not even, unfortunately, it's not 100%.
Jay Tyndall, if I need some help with an ASIN, can I DM you? Yeah, but be willing to give me more than 24 hours to get back to you. I've got some people who, if I don't get back to them within 2 or 3 hours, they get upset. So sometimes takes me a little longer, but yeah, shoot me a DM. I'll get back to you. Yesterday, I asked about Vico and the profit analyzer. What software are you using for FBA profit? We have QuickBooks.
QuickBooks?
Yeah, QuickBooks. Ab, what are the AI strategies you're putting into the new OA challenge? Well, if you come to the OA challenge, I will share those with you. Unfortunately, that's not something we can get into here, but I appreciate that. Hey guys, do you usually try to pay off all of your credit card balance before taking profits? Just curiously, how you usually try to juggle paying off balance, taking profits. Any tips? I try to be a realist and realize that you're probably going to carry some debt in this business. It's just the way an inventory business is. Now, you want to make sure that you're not carrying so much where servicing the debt is, cutting into your profits, where you're going into the negative, or, it's killing a ton of it. Chances are you're going to carry some debt. So I do think that maybe, if you need to or want to, if you need that, that carrot, if you will, pulling out a little bit of profit before paying off the cards is okay. Just make it a sensible amount. Don't pay yourself $100,000 a year if you're servicing a bunch of debt, and that keeps you from paying those down. All right, Syed, can we consider clearance grocery, because most grocery clearance has a short shelf life? That's the one thing you got to pay attention to when it comes to clearance grocery. Got to pay attention to the shelf life. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm going to run through these really quick. And thanks, Luke. Appreciate that. Do all sellers get an Amazon business, or all new sellers get an Amazon business development partner? I don't know. That's not something that I've ever been offered. So I'm not sure on that. And what is the reason for getting gated on listings or brands you've been ungated on before? If I knew the answer to that, the correct answer, and not one that I'm just taking a guess at, I could be a millionaire selling that secret. But in reality, we don't know the exact reason. Sometimes Amazon tells us. They came out today on a particular brand, Michael Kors, I believe, and they said that they were going to start gating it, and they were going to start sourcing it directly from the brand to increase the catalog size. And so there's a reason there, because they're going to source it. Other reasons, it could be the brand complaining. It could be all kinds of things. All right. So Chris, as I was getting everything ready for today, and putting together the joke of the week, I thought about using a pun about poop, but they're not really my favorite. However, they are a solid number 2.
I felt that one. I felt that one coming.
Yeah, that was a little easy to see.
Like when you somebody's looking at you, and it's like, all right, I can feel that one. So I wanted to ask you, and you probably saw this. I think it was Trung that tweeted it. So I know that you usually see that stuff. But did you see the number? Guess how much Costco sells annually in the clothing category? Do you know that number? Did you read it?
I know that I think I skimmed this. I know it's a massive number.
It's way bigger than I expect. $9 billion a year.
Wow.
Just in clothing.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I want to Google some of the companies that is higher than, I think that would be a really interesting list to find out that Costco sells more than, this list of brands. I bet it's an amazing list.
Yeah, that is crazy. I'll be honest, I buy some shorts from there on occasion. I like their 32 degree. I like 32 degrees. They have stuff there. But 9 billion, that's a crazy number.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today. Hopefully we helped you guys out. I will be back tomorrow at 5:30 to do this all over again, and Chris and I will be back next Wednesday at 5 p.m. So please join us. Have a great night, everybody, and may your sales go to the moon.